Mercedes just came out with a new SL, and we're driving it. Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and we're out in the usually sunny state of California, where it is currently raining, to drive the new 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL. This is the first SL to be developed from the ground up by AMG. So does that mean that this car finally returns to its sport lightweight roots? Let's find out. So as I alluded to earlier in the video, the SL doesn't really stand for sport lightweight anymore because this vehicle is pretty heavy. We don't have the exact curb weight figures, but Mercedes says this has gained about 200 pounds over the previous generation, which is already kind of a porker at around 4,000 pounds. The reason for that is because this one is a little bit longer now with the back seat, and the all-wheel drive system is going to significantly add to the curb weight. Now, although it's a very heavy car overall, Mercedes is very proud of the fact that this is the first SL to be ground up designed by AMG with an all AMG platform. This platform will also underpin the next generation AMG GT Coupe, which is going to be coming out later. So basically this car is kind of serving a dual role purpose of replacing the AMG GT Roadster and the S-Class Convertible. Now, the chassis itself is made from lightweight components like magnesium and other composites, but as we talked about, doesn't really mean that this is a lightweight car. So clearly Mercedes hasn't nailed the whole lightweight thing, but have they made this new SL better to drive? In a word, heck yeah. Ooh, this is great fun. So there are two versions of the SL that you can buy at launch. This is the base SL55 that we're driving. They've brought back that nameplate for the first time in a little over a decade, and you can also get the SL63. No matter which one you choose, you're going to be getting Mercedes' famous twin turbocharged 4-liter V8. It sounds fantastic in this application, and really the big difference is they just produce different amounts of power depending on which model you buy. So the SL55 that we're driving produces 469 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good, but the SL63 produces significantly more, 577 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Both models are sending out that power through a 4MATIC all-wheel drive system, mostly rear biased, through a 9-speed MCT, they call it, transmission, which is, it's got like twin clutches, but it's not a dual clutch. It's gonna function more like an automatic. That's the one area where this is not gonna be as sharp as the old GT Roadster, which had a 7-speed dual clutch. That car was real snappy. These are quick gear changes, but quick for an automatic, definitely not on the level of Porsche's PDK. So the manufacturer says that this SL55 model will hit 60 miles an hour in just 3.8 seconds. Now, I'm with another journalist who has some measuring equipment, and we actually tested it at about 3.6 seconds, and that's in the down. So I believe that this car is much quicker than Mercedes says it is. The SL63 is quicker still. Mercedes says that one will hit 60 in 3.5 seconds. So I think if we had a dry track, because of the all-wheel drive system, we might be able to get that car in the low 3-second range to 60. Again, Mercedes-AMG loves underquoting its 0 to 60 times. So basically the big difference is the SL63 can hit 60 0.3 of a second quicker, and you do get a higher top speed as well, whereas this model will top out at 183 miles per hour. The SL63 will do 196, so almost 200 miles an hour. So if you really care about bragging rates and top speed, maybe you should get the SL63, but honestly, for having over 100 horsepower more, I'm a little disappointed that the SL63 doesn't seem that much faster on paper. And from driving this SL55 all day, I really don't think you need the upgrade. We don't know the pricing on either model yet, but I think it might be worthwhile to just save your money and get the SL55. It feels plenty fast. So if you do get the SL55, you get a standard steel suspension with adaptive dampers. I don't have a spec sheet for this car, so I don't know if we're driving the base suspension. I suspect we are, because it doesn't really get too much firmer when I change the modes here. I can use the cool selector here on the steering wheel that we'll check out again when we get on the interior. The ride is great. As I mentioned, this is kind of replacing the S-Class Convertible and the GT Roadster. So it's kind of in the middle in terms of comfort, definitely leaning more towards comfort. This does not brutalize you the way that the AMG GT Roadster did. But unlike the S-Class Cabriolet, which was kind of a boat, this feels extremely sharp. I have it in race mode now. The steering is very precise. It might be all-wheel drive, but it really does have the characteristics of a rear-wheel drive car. I don't feel any understeer. I can really push this car through the corners. There's very little body roll. We have the folding soft top down right now. There's not too much wind buffeting as long as you have the windows up and this wind deflector at the back. This is a perfect GT car. So if you were in the market for an AMG Mercedes in the past and you looked at the S-Class convertible and thought it was a bit too soft and you thought the AMG GT Roadster was a bit too firm, this new SL hits that middle ground perfectly. I absolutely love it, and just from driving the SL55, I don't think you need to spend the money to get the 63. All right, launch control, here we go. That's 60. All right, so we just clocked that at 3.41 seconds. So again, that is quicker than Mercedes says this car will do. I think Mercedes quotes a 3.5 seconds 0 to 60 time, and these are not perfect conditions. The road is a little bit wet, but that is about 0.2 of a second quicker than we tested the SL55 at. So yeah, you're definitely getting a quicker car here with the SL63. Of course, it makes over 100 horsepower more, so we shouldn't be too shocked at that result. And what else can I tell you about the SL63? Well, for starters, we have the sport bucket seats here. They're actually pretty good. They're not super uncomfortable. I think that they're much more comfortable than the racing buckets that you get in the Porsche 911, so that's good. You can get them heated and ventilated as well. The steering maybe feels slightly sharper to me here on the SL63, although they're both really fantastic cars. I'd say that maybe this car is a little bit firmer driving them back to back, but this is not uncomfortable at all, even in the Sport Plus setting. I mentioned earlier that the SL55 comes standard with a steel suspension. This gets hydraulic suspension as standard. So I think in its firmest setting, this gets a little firmer and reduces body roll a little bit more than the 55 did. But when you're driving them both in comfort mode, they're both extremely comfortable. Now, no matter which car you get, you are getting rear wheel steering in the back, and I think that is what's helping me feel so agile in both vehicles. I have not gotten in either of these cars and thought, this is definitely a 4,200 pound vehicle with all-wheel drive. There's not a lot of understeer, and I think that has something to do with the standard rear steer. So at slow speeds, it will turn opposite of the front wheels to kind of nudge you around corners better. It's really helpful in parking lots as well for maneuvers like that. And then at high speeds, it will move with the front wheels to give you more stability. And then we gotta talk about how good this engine sounds. This 4-liter V8 has always sounded great, but I think here especially, let's hit it. It sounds awesome. It crackles and pops on the overrun. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I think that's the big difference here with the SL63 is the torque, that shove that you get from the lower RPMs. This car just feels a little bit more eager to accelerate at any speed. The SL55 is still incredibly fast, but if you're driving at a crazy rate, you will notice that the SL63 and that mountains of torque just move you a little bit differently. In my personal opinion, we still have to wait to see the pricing, and I love this SL63, but I think the SL55 is so good, I might not want to dish out the extra money. Okay, so now let's pull over and check out the all-new interior of the AMG SL, but before we do that, please smash that like button if you're enjoying this video so far. It would really help us out. Subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. Now back to the SL. So we can see that this new SL looks vastly different from the model it replaces in terms of technology. The big center point here is this new 11.9-inch touchscreen display that looks a lot like the one we get in the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It is really easy to use. I like how simple it is. You can just pull up your map like that, go right to your home buttons. The climate control is always down here. You can speak to it as well. It has very intelligent voice commands as well. And there are a few buttons down here to make it a little bit easier. It's not all touch control. Now, there is a problem with having such a massive screen in a convertible car like this, and that is that the sun glare hits it quite badly when you have the roof down, but Mercedes thought of a clever solution to that. You've got this button right here that actually allows you to tilt the display. You can see that really changes it. It tilts way forward, and then when you have the roof up, it really makes a huge difference. The sun glare is not nearly as bad. Now, another journalist noted on Twitter that this screen with these vents around it kind of looks like Jar Jar Binks, but it is kind of a funny comparison to make. But I would say the overall cabin design is gorgeous in here. Tons of really nice leather. I love these sort of turbine vents with this beautiful ambient lighting. You can change the colors of this to like a million different colors. I think it's 64 different colors. This cabin is super luxurious. And in addition to this 11.9-inch screen, we also have a 12.3-inch screen here in the gauge cluster. Now, I can control this screen using this side of the steering wheel here. We have these touch capacitive controls if you don't feel like actually touching the screen. And the other side of the steering wheel here is used to control this, so you can change what's on the menus. There's a million ways to customize this. We have it now set it as gauges, but you can have it set as a full color map as well. You also have these cool like AMG sport displays. You have like a sport one that's all red, and then you have this super sport one that looks even crazier. So that is really cool, and I love the customization here. And as we saw out on the road, we have tons of drive modes. We have these really cool selectors here. This one changes your overall drive modes from comfort, sport, sport plus, and race. You can also click these as well. You can go to individual as well. Now over here, there is much more finite tuning, so I can have my loud exhaust or my quiet. I can have my spoiler, and if I want more functions, now I can have my drive modes. I can have the auto stop start, my engine settings, traction control, all of that. I love fiddling with these. It makes me feel like Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes race car. Now let's talk a little bit about the seats. We have like the most luxurious option. I love these sort of cream leather seats with the diamond quilting, just gorgeous. You can get like an AMG Sport bucket seat, which I don't think suits the personality of this car. It's the same seat you used to get in the AMG GT Roadster. Just feels wrong in a car like this. I want comfortable. These have massaging, which is awesome. You also have this little vent right here. That's called the air scarf. So if you're driving this around with the top down and it's freezing out, this blows hot air on your neck to help keep you warm. It's really nice, especially when paired with the massage function. Now this car is a folding soft top. You can control it here on the touchscreen. There's actually no physical button for this. It goes up and down in about 15 seconds, but you do have to hold your finger here. So this is a little worrisome. If the screen decides to conk out at any moment, you won't be able to put your roof up and down, which is a little bit annoying. And then once you do put it all the way up, you then have to click a separate button to make sure that all of the windows are going up. It doesn't just do that automatically, which is a little bit annoying, but at least the roof does go down and up very quickly. And finally, I am going to attempt to show you what the back seats are like, because this is the first SL in several decades that's actually had a back seat, but they call it a 2+2 because trust me, these rear seats are not great. So you just pull this little strap right here and it will automatically move everything forward. So you don't have to do any like moving. It does all of that automatically for you, which is a nice touch, makes it a little bit easier to get in the back here, but just wait until I try. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back. I don't have any headroom. My head is really cramped right now. Oh my God, stop, stop, stop. The seat cannot go back as far as it was going to do. It detects a person with their knees, and once it bumps into them, it will stop going back. So yeah, I would not want to ride back here for very long, but if you throw a towel down here, maybe your doggy or your golf clubs would be happy riding back here. So let's wrap up this video by talking about the exterior of the new SL, which I think is the biggest improvement over the outgoing generation, which kind of looked like a heavy blob of a vehicle. Now we have this beautiful ultra blue metallic color. I think it's gorgeous, but there are some other amazing colors available. There's a really nice red and a really nice yellow as well. Now this vehicle is longer than the model it replaces by a few inches to accommodate those rear seats. I think that gives it a very nice menacing stance, and I love this big long hood stretched out. Makes it look a lot like the outgoing AMG GT Roadster. Here at the side, we can see that this new SL is a little bit longer than the outgoing generation. I think it has a really sleek side profile. To me, I think that the switch to the soft top was a really nice move. I think that those folding metal roofs look kind of ugly and bulbous. I think a soft top just looks a lot more classic. Now, it's not all classic. We do have the same door handles that you get on an EQS. They're these weird pop-out units. You can unlock it from the key and that will pop out the door handles, or you have to gently slide your finger on it to open, and I do not get it right on the first time. You have to do it ever so slightly, ever so gently. See, I still can't make it work. You want to just hit unlock on the key. That is just a little bit annoying. A lot of people are going to say that the switch from a folding metal roof makes this look a little bit more simple, maybe less expensive than the outgoing model. But again, I am a classic type of guy, so I love the fact that they switched to the soft top. Now, the switch to the soft top hasn't made any more trunk space. In fact, this car actually has a smaller trunk than the previous generation SL. The opening is not very big at all. It's actually kind of cramped in here, but the fact that it's a soft top means that when you put it down, it doesn't intrude into the trunk. That was one of the big issues with the old SL. When you did have that roof down, the trunk space was almost nothing. Overall, I'm going to say that the new styling of the SL is an absolute win, especially in some of the brighter colors. I think this stands out on the road a lot more than a Porsche 911. So that was the 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL. We don't have full pricing yet, but we expect that this 55 model should start at around $120,000. The 63 version might be about $40,000 more, but we'll have to wait to see for Mercedes to reveal pricing. That puts this right in the territory of the Porsche 911, but I think that this is a slightly different car. As I mentioned while we were driving, if you were the type of person who thought that the S-Class convertible was a bit too soft and luxurious, but the GT Roadster was too firm, this SL hits the perfect middle ground. It is a great grand tourer that stacks up really well against BMW's M8, the Aston Martin DB11, and the Bentley Continental convertible. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to see more of them out on the road.